All right, welcome to the interview with Mariana Savino of the GLOBE Latin America and Caribbean region. She is a coordinator of that region. Um, Other than that, I'm going to let Mariana talk a little bit about the importance of the Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign and several other observations like tree height, land cover, things like that in her region. So first off, thank you for joining me today in this interview. As I mentioned, we will play the first part of this at this webinar, and then we will play the second half of it in the July 2022 webinar, where we're focusing on the GLOBE Latin America and Caribbean region. So would you just please introduce yourself and your position within the GLOBE program?
Well, hello, Brian. Thanks for having me today with you. I am really glad to join this webinar. Like you mentioned before, I'm Mariana Savino. I'm the regional coordinator for Latin America and the Caribbean region, and I live in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Excellent, thank you. And I know the Latin American Caribbean region is such a vital part of our Trees Around the Globe student research campaign. We have lots of observations and measurements coming in from all over Latin America and the Caribbean region. So, thank you and to your region for all the great observations, which help not just student researchers with their IVSS project, but potentially professional researchers at NASA, NOAA, and other agencies to use that data potentially in their research projects. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, well, let's get started with a couple more questions here. Why is it important for GLOBE participants in the GLOBE Latin America and Caribbean region to be part of the Trees Around the Globe student research campaign?
So I think this campaign is really important for teachers and students in LAC region because it helps them to understand better their environment, their local areas, get to know which kind of trees are planted in their communities, if they're native species or foreign species, and how it impacts in the environment for having native species or not. And they can observe if these trees grow and how them grows. It helps to understand the relationship with the environment in the whole in a whole concept, because it can relate these topics of trees also with the urban heat island campaign, and see how trees are absorbing or not the carbon dioxide emissions, and how it affects with the air temperature, the air quality, and of course how it affects for human life and health. So it's really, really important to be part of this campaign.
Thank you. Yeah, that hit perfectly on one of the things that we try to focus on with the Trees Around the Globe student research campaign is, yes, the students can take many observations, but until they make sense of it in the real world and how it affects their local environment, it doesn't mean anything. But by having this campaign and then having the students and teachers in your region, really drive the point home that these aren't just measurements. These are measurements that help us understand the environment better. And when you understand your local environment better, you can more easily
take care of
understand
it.
that global
Yes.
picture.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's perfect. Thank you. Oh, and thank you for mentioning the the urban heat island, because we our campaign works directly with those, Dr. Kevin Chakowski and several folks at that, I guess it's called an intensive observation period now for the urban heat island surface temperature field group. So, but yeah, so that's so important, looking at the urban.
And it's really important to understand how trees affect all these other variables for the environment. So it's really important to be part of this campaign.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, and do you recommend students and teachers in the GLOBE Latin America and Caribbean region work with both the GLOBE data for land cover and tree height and potential satellite data that they may be able to look? So basically, do you see it important for them to take observations of tree height and land cover and then potentially compare this to some satellite data?
Yes, 100%, because First of all, it's a wonderful tool for students to be able to manage this tool, and it's amazing for them to see all the satellite images and how the areas change through the years. So it gives them two different aspects. First, they can compare the data that they have been collecting with the satellite images, but also they can go back and understand the past and how the area were many years ago or some years ago, how many trees were planted and how many remains today, how the forest or how cities were gaining ground to the forest, and how it affects for the environment and for the ecosystem and for the climate. So yes, I totally recommend them to use these great tools.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's something that you hit on that NASA does all the time. NASA, with its Earth observing satellites in space, we look at change over time. And for the students to be able to, there might not be GLOBE data, from, in their region from, say 20 years ago, there might not be some GLOBE data in specific regions, but there most likely is some type of satellite data, whether it's from the Landsat mission or some of the other missions that NASA has looking at our planet. They can then, as you mentioned, look back in time and see what was there 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and then compare that to the observations they're taking today. And then that can help them understand how things might look in the future. So we're trying to create that whole vision of looking at the past to understand the present and the future.
Yes,
so,
it's a great tool and great opportunity to understand the presence, but also knowing the past and predicting the future. So yes, it's a great opportunity for students to be able to manage all these tools.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, well, let's shift for a second here, talk a little bit about the IVSS. So as we all know, we get a lot of great IVSS projects from the GLOBE Latin American Caribbean region. So how important is it for students to submit to the GLOBE IVSS, call for projects and research reports each year with the GLOBE program?
Well, first of all, I think it's crucial for students to learn how to develop a research project, how to pick up a scientific question, how to make a scientific methodology process to get to answer this question and to get to a conclusion. So I think the IVSS, it's really a great opportunity for students, not only to learn how to develop our research projects, but also to develop some other skills like leadership, like creative thinking, like solving problems. When you are researching, maybe you can expect some results that are not occurring when you're going forward with your research. So I'm a huge fan for the IVSS. It's been the second year that we organize a virtual science fair within the Latin American region to give all students the opportunity to showcase their research project that have been submitted to the IVSS, to share their experiences, to inspire other students to make and to submit their own projects. So the IVSS project it's a great opportunity. And regarding for researching about trees, I think it's also important, and it's the topic that we were mentioned before. They help them to understand their environment, to understand how the cities are changing the landscapes, how it affects for the human life, for the human health. And sometimes it happens that they can take the research for a higher level and make some community changes, because this year, for example, I give you an example. A group of Argentinian students have made a research project about the trees surrounding the school. And they have become like the tree guardians of the city.
That's great.
So it's really important because it makes a change in their community, and everyone is taking care of those trees, and everyone is being aware of no one damaging those trees or no one. So it's really important to have a real connection with the local issues, with the local topics, with your local environment. When you really take care of something, the whole dimension change. So I think it's really important for students to learn about trees.
That's great. I love the term tree warriors in your city. So that's wonderful. Also, and I'm super excited to hear about the, you did the additional in your region, additional, science fair, where everybody could participate and showcase their projects that they submitted to the Globe IVSS program. So that's great to give that opportunity to this for the students to all come together and learn from each other exactly, what the other students are doing, around the region.
Yes, yes, and I would like to highlight that since the IVSS accepts research projects in different languages, it has been a great opportunity for LAC students to present their own projects in their own language, that is Spanish, because some years ago it was not possible to submit your project in your own language. So many students did the research project, but they couldn't submit them for the IVSS, and they couldn't share it with other students within the region. So it's been a great decision to allow students to present projects in different languages.
Yes, yeah, I noticed that over the last several years that there's been an increase in IVSS projects because of that. I've noticed some, from Saudi Arabia that were in their native language, and and from Latin American, Caribbean region and other countries as well. So yeah, that's great. It really makes it all inclusive for everyone. Those who aren't, naturally English speakers. I think that's great because, as you know, science knows no language. It's the science. Science is science. It's just, it's a universal language, I guess I could say. It's just, just portraying that science or getting that science out to the public sometimes requires some modification. And this is, like, as you mentioned, this is a great thing, that the GLOBE program has done.
Yes, yes, that's why I was mentioning it.
Yeah. Okay. Just a couple more questions here. This is a little more, this is kind of in line with the IVSS. If there are students out there who, want to do research projects and they're in your, the LAC region, are there any specific locations that you know of that you could, just mention, where they might be able to focus some of their efforts? For example, are there areas where trees are really flourishing, or areas, where trees may be in jeopardy?
Well, I think every area it's a great area to be studied and to make data collection, because you can have your tree guardians in your school area, and if you go further and deeper, of course, we have the Amazon area as a huge problem of deforestation in LAC region. And of course, it would be really important to focus on that region because it's the lung of the planet. So if we continue with deforestation and not making any deep decision of cutting this situation, it will affect the whole world. We are going to have many climate change problems, global warming, everything. I don't want to be pessimist, but it's a really important area that we should focus on.
Yeah, the Amazon region really serves as one of those areas where you can really see how trees and tree height and things like that are really indicators of climate change. Because as you mentioned, if we have continued deforestation in the Amazon region, that's going to really affect our climate. And it's going to be less carbon dioxide pulled out of the atmosphere and stored by trees. A lot of things can happen, can cycle off of that. So that's great. That'd be great if we could get more measurements from the Amazon rainforest region. And we know that we can't have lots of people going into the central part of the Amazon rainforest because it's very remote,
Yeah.
and it might not be safe, but there are areas where that people can access and, take tree height measurements of, as many trees as possible. But such an important region, as you mentioned, to take observations.
Yes, well, deforestation is a huge problem within the whole Latin American region because the agriculture grows and the trees are an obstacle for those business. So we need really to be aware of this problem and make efforts to change it.
Yes. All right. So one more question. So do you have anything else you'd like to mention to the GLOBE Latin American Caribbean region campaign participants?
Yes, I would like to invite all the Latin American students and all the GLOBE students to be part of these really important campaigns. I really believe that we can make changes implementing the GLOBE program. I think that when you get to understand the interconnections and the interactions within the Earth system, it's like lifting a veil, and you become you start to see things clearly. And when you see the reality that is happening with our planet, you can't behave as you used to do it before that. So I really trust in the importance of these campaigns, and it helps students to understand that what happens in another part of the world, in a remote part of the world, it could really have an impact in their life, in their health, in their environment, in the loss of biodiversity. So I really would like to invite all people, all GLOBE community members, to join these campaigns, to discuss what is happening in their communities, and to get to understand that everything affects the whole world. Everything what happens in a local area could really make an impact in the whole world. So we really need to be aware of the wonder of nature and take care of it, and be grateful for having this great planet for living here. So yes.
That's perfect. And I got out of that specifically, we want to understand the connectedness of not just the observations in a local area, but how those observations in a local area can affect something thousands and thousands of miles away. If you're taking an observation of tree height or land cover in the Amazon rainforest, that will have an impact in a place like maybe, the Africa region or the, Europe and Eurasia region, because we're all connected. Our planet's connected, our oceans are connected, our atmosphere is connected. So everything's connected. It's all, one big puzzle where each one of these pieces are, all the countries, all the environments, all the, observations. So we bring all that together, we connect everything together, and that's what we're trying to do with the Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign, is to connect people together to understand that what's happening in their local environment has a global impact.
Yeah. I would like to thank you and all your team for this great 4 years. I think you have been done a great job, and you have raised the voice about this topic, and I think it's really important for the whole GLOBE community to be part of this campaign.
Yep. And here's hoping for a 5th year coming up. So
great.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So great. Yeah. Excellent. I want to thank you, Mariana, for this great interview and discussing this with me, because this is all these, this, not just the campaign, but all the science and observations and everything involved with the campaign and the GLOBE program overall. It's just so important for us to understand how local environment observations affect the entire planet. So thank you so much again for this. And, hopefully we'll all be in person again someday, and and doing some training and some presentations and seeing each other, person to person. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. See you soon.
All right.
Bye bye.